What if I told you the world's most powerful aid agency, the one claiming to feed the hungry, build schools, and spread freedom,
Eugene Barrett, ends up running the entire legal affairs and court system of Bosnia after the Bosnian War through USAID, Tim?
that for over 60 years, USAID has operated in the shadows.
In the CIA, we didn't give a hoot about democracy.
Not just helping, but manipulating, surveilling, and steering nations toward America's interests.
I mean, it was fine if a government was elected and would cooperate with us, but if it didn't, then democracy didn't mean a thing to us.
This isn't fiction. This is the story of USAID.
The people who are opposed to aid should realize that this is a very powerful source of strength for us.
Born in the Cold War, weaponized through decades, and now crumbling in plain sight.
The corruption in how this money is being spent, all the things that they're uncovering. And I mean, honestly, I think a lot of us knew that a lot of this was going on, but yeah, our Congress has never done anything about any of that.
In 1961, President John F. Kennedy signs the Foreign Assistance Act. The stated mission: lift nations out of poverty. The real mission? Counter communism. Win hearts and minds. Project power. USAID was the perfect cover.
JFK created USAID, and just 1 month later, launched Operation Pincushion, which sent the Green Berets, sent our special forces to Laos.
A development agency that just happened to land wherever U.S. military and intelligence operations needed a foothold. USAID's Office of Public Safety trained foreign police in stabilization, often a euphemism for suppressing opposition. Then came Philip Agee.
And so nowadays, instead of having just the CIA going around behind the scenes and trying to manipulate the process secretly by inserting money here and instructions there and so forth, they have now a sidekick.
A former CIA officer who exposed the entire operation. In 1975, he published Inside the Company, revealing that USAID was being used as CIA cover across Latin America, from Ecuador to Mexico.
Where USAID was, it would later turn out USAID very quickly played this function of supporting these very same CIA-backed mercenary groups that Operation Pincushion was recruiting.
His revelations confirmed what foreign leaders had suspected for years. USAID wasn't just about development. It was part of the U.S. intelligence infrastructure. In countries like Chile and Guatemala, aid programs showed up just as U.S.-backed coups swept out elected leaders.
Justicia. Es lo que siguen exigiendo miles de víctimas de la dictadura militar a 38 años del golpe de Estado.
In Vietnam, USAID funded the Strategic Hamlet Program, presented as rural protection, but actually a counterinsurgency tactic.
At the National Training Center in Vung Tau, elected village chiefs from all over Vietnam are being assembled for a 4-week course. They're all ages from 18 to 84, and by year's end, 17,000 will have passed through. They're taught simple administration, and they're taught how to raise and run the new People's Self-Defense Forces which they will command.
Then there's Stanley Ann Dunham, mother of Barack Obama.
My mother was the biggest influence on my life. She was an 18-year-old college student from Kansas who had moved to Hawaii with my grandparents.
She worked on development projects in post-coup Indonesia. Her affiliations with the Ford Foundation and USAID-linked networks fueled years of speculation that she was part of America's anti-communist strategy. Proof? None definitive. But the pattern is loud. In the 1980s, USAID transformed into a vehicle for neoliberal expansion.
A few days ago, I was presented with a report I'd asked for, a comprehensive audit, if you will, of our economic condition. You won't like it.
Under President Reagan, it pushed privatization across the global South.
The government must place substantial reliance on the private sector for advice and assistance in achieving national security telecoms goals.
Telecoms, water, healthcare, sold to the highest bidder. Critics say it wasn't development, it was economic control. After September 11th, the agency was embedded in war zones: Afghanistan, Iraq. Under Andrew Natsios, USAID took on reconstruction. But it wasn't aid. It was geopolitical strategy with a humanitarian face.
Our goal for USAID was to align the programs that it fulfills with the foreign policy of the United States. And yet, over the last 2 decades, it has not, and it has gotten worse and worse. And multiple administrations have complained about it, but none have done anything about it. We are going to do something about it.
Contractors got rich. Yes, locals got crumbs. Oversight vanished.
USAID has become rotten to its core, sacrificing the prudent use of taxpayer dollars at the altar of advancing radical, sinister social and political agendas abroad.
Then came Zunzuneo, a fake Twitter platform in Cuba, built by USAID through a private contractor, Creative Associates International.
The U.S. has admitted to being behind a Twitter-style text messaging service in Cuba, but denies it was a covert operation to topple President Castro.
Its goal? Stir unrest and undermine the Castro regime. This wasn't development. This was digital regime change.
The Associated Press news agency revealed that the U.S. aid agency funded Zunzuneo, claiming it aimed to stir unrest, something the White House refuted.
By 2025, USAID was everywhere: Ukraine, Gaza, Southeast Asia, with an annual budget of $40 billion.
Congress funds democracy programming for Cuba to help empower Cubans to access more information and to strengthen civil society.
But beneath the surface, something was breaking. Donald Trump wins re-election.
The Fox News Decision Desk can now officially project that Donald Trump will become the 47th President of the United States.
And he doesn't wait. On January 24th, 2025, he signs Executive Order 14,169, a near-total freeze on foreign aid. A new watchdog is created, the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE.
This is the chainsaw for bureaucracy.
He appoints Elon Musk to lead it. Musk's first move? Call USAID a criminal organization. His second? Open the books.
I think that there's some worthy things, but overall, if you say what was the bang for the buck, I would say it was not very good. And there was far too much of what USAID was doing was influencing elections in ways that I think were dubious and do not stand the light of day.
What he found lit the fuse. Us DOGE investigators uncovered program after program that critics said had nothing to do with national interest and everything to do with ideology, activism, and corruption. Here's just a glimpse of what Musk's team revealed. $1.5 million to promote DEI in Serbia's workplace culture. $70,000 for a DEI musical in Ireland. $47,000 for a transgender opera in Colombia. $32,000 for a transgender comic book in Peru. It didn't stop there. $20 million went to Alan Simpson, a spin-off of Sesame Street in Iraq. $5.5 million to fund LGBTQ+ activism in Jamaica. $19 million to push inclusion initiatives in Vietnam. $6 million to boost tourism in Egypt. $2 million for sex changes and LGBT activism in Guatemala. $5 million for transgender health services in India. $2.5 million to support electric vehicles in Vietnam. And yes, millions to EcoHealth Alliance for coronavirus research. Contraceptive campaigns.
Maximum Condom, trusted protection, is triple tested. Brought to you by the USAID Discover Health Project.
Personalized birth control algorithms, programs for HIV and gender clinics in deeply conservative nations.
We have massive amounts of fraud that we caught. I think we probably caught way over a lot of billions of dollars already in, 2 weeks?
Yes.
And it's going to go to numbers that you're not going to believe.
Framed as humanitarian, criticized as ideological.
And we spend, somewhere between $40 and $50 billion annually on this organization. And with the things that you hear.
Then came the bombshells. $122 million in aid, linked to groups in Afghanistan and Syria, allegedly tied to terrorism. Hundreds of millions in agricultural support in Taliban territory. irrigation systems, fertilizer, trucks going untracked.
Quite honestly, if our enemies were asked to design a foreign aid program that would actively undermine the United States of America at maximum cost to the taxpayer, they would be hard-pressed to create a scheme more effective than USAID.
In Gaza, a program was misrepresented online as $50 million for condoms. Debunked? Partially. But the fact that so little clarity existed only fueled suspicion. For Musk and DOGE, the question wasn't whether these programs existed. They did. The question was, why were American taxpayers funding them?
For the sake of the country, I hope that the person that's in charge and the other people that report to me that are in charge are allowed to do the right thing, namely, make sure everything's honest, legitimate, and competent.
As DOGE's investigation accelerated, USAID's structure collapsed. Thousands of employees were furloughed, contracts halted, overseas missions abandoned. An Inspector General report warned that nearly $500 million in food aid could go unmonitored. The IG was fired the next day.
Over the past several years, record amounts of improper payments from the federal government, $250 billion of improper payments. The inspector generals have turned from a watchdog into somebody who's protecting the agencies.
All while Musk took to X, live posting explosive findings and mocking critics who called it political theater. But to many, this wasn't politics. It was long overdue exposure. USAID's web of influence wasn't just global, it had bled back home. Since 2012, a little-noticed change to the Smith-Mundt Act allowed U.S. propaganda, formerly barred from reaching American audiences, to be legally disseminated inside the United States. Suddenly, USAID-funded media, training programs, even social platforms could influence U.S. discourse, intentionally or not. Groups like Internews, funded with nearly $500 million, trained journalists on digital content moderation. Critics say that's just a sanitized word for narrative control.
This statement off of the BBC website. Charities are often set up and used as a vehicle of funneling money while maintaining plausible deniability. BBC Media Action, despite being a separate entity, as you say, it's still closely linked to the BBC in branding and its operations. So it's completely fair to ask the question whether this creates a political bias.
BBC Media Action, another recipient of US funding, produced global content with editorial reach far beyond borders. That reach included American eyes. Mulfar, the Ukrainian intelligence firm, backed by USAID, labeled sitting US senators Russian assets. Whether that label was accurate or not, why was a foreign entity, funded by US aid, naming domestic political figures as enemies? USAID wasn't just blurring the lines between development and defense, it was erasing them entirely.
On Friday, a federal appeals court cleared the way for Elon Musk and his Department of Government Efficiency to resume their efforts to shut down the United States Agency for International Development.
Now, in March 2025, USAID stands paralyzed. Elon Musk says shut it down. Trump backs him. Foreign governments are demanding refunds. Congress is in chaos. And what began as foreign assistance is being revealed as a decades-long experiment in influence, secrecy, and control. Was USAID ever truly about help? Or was it always about leverage? Should it be reformed, replaced, or buried? Let us know what you think. Drop a comment, hit like, and if you're ready to go deeper into the rabbit hole, subscribe. Because this story, it's just the beginning.